Lawmakers this week chipped away at Oklahoma's billion-dollar-plus budget hole, but backed off from a measure that would have raised hundreds of millions of dollars through an increase in cigarette and motor fuel taxes. The legislature also failed to approve a teacher pay raise bill, but that doesn't mean that the issue is dead for the session.
Facing a deadline to approve bills that originated in the opposite chamber, lawmakers did not advance a measure that would have increased teacher pay by $6,000 over a 3-year period. House Bill 1114, the so-called 1-2-3 plan, would have provided teachers with a $1,000 salary increase the first year, followed by $2,000 and $3,000 pay hikes in the next 2 years. With no funding mechanism attached to the bill, the Senate declined to consider the measure, although Majority Floor Leader Greg Treat says there are still avenues for the issue to resurface.
Teacher pay can still come up through a joint committee bill and or Speaker Pro Tem bill. We're still working and talking about a framework for a teacher pay like we've been talking about, and the issue can still be brought up through one of those two mechanisms.
Increasing teacher pay remains a hot topic this legislative session. When the Senate Joint Committee on Appropriations and Budget met after session Thursday evening to consider several revenue-raising measures, committee members repeatedly asked the same question.
Are any of these monies apportioned to the Rebuilding Oklahoma Access Fund? Are any of them allocated to teacher pay raise?
This bill doesn't have any money dedicated to a pay raise either. Is that correct for teachers?
Any of this going to be directed to go toward teacher pay raises?
I thank you for the question. No.
Thank you.
The pattern of the questions led to a rejoinder from Senate Appropriations Chair Kim David, who reminded her colleagues of the massive budget hole still before them.
It would not be responsible for us to talk about a teacher pay raise until we are able to fill the budget hole. What we're trying to do here is to fill the budget hole, and it is a long road ahead of us, and it's going to be some hard votes and some hard decisions.
While House and Senate committees did approve a slate of bills to generate more revenue, the biggest measure, House Bill 2365, to increase cigarette and motor fuel taxes, was not heard. The bill, which would have generated more than $340 million in new revenue, was laid over and could still come up next month, although it will need Democratic support to pass. House Minority Leader Scott Inman says Democrats are open to bills creating new revenue, but adds they want something in return.
We're willing to negotiate around a cigarette tax. Our support for a cigarette tax, if they will increase the gross production tax on major oil and gas producing companies in the state. Collectively, if you go to 7% on the gross production tax, and with our support for the cigarette tax, you'd bring in nearly $700 million without hurting middle-class families.
But while some groups have supported the idea of increasing the gross production tax on oil and gas, the idea has yet to gain much traction among Senate Republicans.